The good news is you can do this. And I'm going to encourage you, whatever you've been through, my prayers are with you, my thoughts are with you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rolla, clinical psychologist, and today I want to talk to you about how domestic violence affects a child's social IQ. Social IQ is social intelligence. It's about how a person manages their relationships. Are they utilizing unhealthy coping or healthy coping styles? Is a person able to express their needs while respecting the needs of the other person? And is a person responding appropriately to the feelings, actions, and behavior of the other person? Social intelligence is a critical aspect of a young person's development. And even with a young person who is strong academically, successful in other areas of their lives, if their social relationships are poor, it really affects their overall well-being, both now and in the future. And the reason why domestic violence significantly affects a child's social IQ is that the relationships that a person has with their parents serves as a prototype for their interpersonal relationships. It serves as a template. Both consciously and subconsciously, the young person is learning how to do relationships by what they see, by the model before them. And even though the parents may have the best of intentions, treat the child very well, and the child may not be a direct victim of the violence going on in the home, they're still being impacted by the interaction between the parents. In a relationship where there is violence in the home, between the guardians, between the parents, we find that there is the perpetrator, the abuser, and we also have the survivor, the person who is on the receiving end of the abuse. In the interaction that the child has with both parents, even though they may have the best of intentions, the child is learning unhealthy ways to do relationships. They're gaining this unhealthy narrative about what relationship looks like. And hearing this can be very difficult for somebody who is doing their best to keep a safe home for their child, or is trying to reduce the exposure of the child to the violence going on in the home. This is not to make you feel bad. This is to make you to be aware of it and look for the signs of this negativity in your child's social development and take active steps towards helping the child to overcome these challenges. Also, for adults who were in homes that there was a lot of abuse, they too can go through situations like this where as adults they simply don't do relationships well. And while it may be easy to blame somebody and blame the other party all the time, I think we need to look sometimes as adults at how we saw relationships or how we observe relationships between our caregivers and our parents, and take active steps as well to try to correct those things that are not working well. So let me go into a little bit more detail as to how these relationships between the caregivers forms a negative narrative, a negative prototype for the young person. When a young person aligns with the abuser, the person who is in a place of power or is trying to maintain power and control over the other party, the young person begins to have unrealistic expectations of others. The same way the abuser is demanding, disrespectful of the needs of the other people in the home, their need for safety, their need for comfort and love, and the focus is primarily his needs. What happens in that to the young person watching this? The young person thinks that other people are there to meet his or her needs primarily. They do not see relationships as reciprocal, and that is a problem. It's more one-sided, which means that this young person is going to be easily hurt, overreact when they don't get what they want, and just not know this. Often they don't know this, disregard the needs of the other person. Another area that you will see with children who are aligned with the perpetrator, aligned, close to them, feel a need to please the perpetrator, is in the area of gender roles, very rigid gender roles. Children who grew up in this home see roles as more functional, like a checklist. Dad does this, this, this. Mom does this, that, that. There's no emotion connected in relationships. Looking for the strength of dad, the strength of mom, and working together to bring the best out of them. Because of what they have observed in how the perpetrator treats the survivor. Very rigid, disregarding of if the person is tired, overwhelmed, or whether they even have the skill level. They're inflexible in their relationships. They see father as this, mother as that. We know that there are differences between genders, but theirs is extreme to the extent that it overrides the need to use and benefit from the strengths and the weakness in the relationship. Another area that you're going to see as well when somebody aligns with the perpetrator is that in the area of showing a lot of anger and frustration, extreme outbursts, extreme behaviors, in reaction to things that may not be as bad. And I've worked with a lot of people like this. The reaction and the anger they show is in excess, extreme compared to what was done to them. The child who is aligned to the perpetrator will also have more of a superiority complex, thinking that their needs and who they are and their value is higher than everybody else. They may not see the equality in humanity in other people. And because they put themselves high above on that level, they may come across condescending, mean, disrespectful. And it's not wrong to be strong and assertive and know your value, but in the case of a child who's aligned with the perpetrator, it is to the extreme because they don't have respect for the value of other people. They seem to be the center of everything, which means that that young person is not going to be happy in their relationships. People are going to not want to deal with them. People are going to find them draining and exhausting. Now, what about the child who is aligned with the survivor? And many times that is a mother. That is problematic as well. The child develops what we call parentified behaviors. The child feels a need to take care of somebody. What does the survivor do? Let's just keep the abuser happy so we can have some peace in here. The center of the world of the survivor is the abuser. They disregard their own needs and they focus primarily on the abuser. A young person who is aligned with survivor will feel a need to always take care of others and disregard their own needs. They may have difficulty asserting their own needs, talking about what they need, and asking for their needs to be met. Because when they observe the survivor, they don't see that. They will also be the kind of person that can be manipulative. Somebody who's trying to control the environment to make peace. There's so much of a turmoil and anxiety within. The way they cope, instead of dealing with what's within and trying to find out what that is trying to control what is around them, which is often what is happening with the survivor. Their pain, their abuse, and all that is happening to them is put by the wayside, and the focus is trying to take care of everything else, hoping that that will make them feel better. The child who is aligned with the survivor is going to feel low self-esteem, is going to feel that their needs are not as important. And so the focus is on the outside. And we know that if somebody has an external locus of control, looking at the outside primarily in order to how they see the world, what happens? They're more prone to depression and anxiety and learn helplessness. So we see that. We also see that they may be withdrawn and shy. Again, coming from not feeling confident enough to be able to express how they feel. They will also more likely suffer from low self-esteem. When you listen to this, I hope you're getting it here, that even parents who mean well, who may not be the ones who are starting the trouble or trying to make peace, by them being in this highly conflictual, difficult relationship, where one person is consistently, in a repeated way, exerting control and power over them, is sending the wrong message to the child. And showing that the child that in order to do relationships is a divide and conquer situation, is not negotiation, is not reciprocity, is not supporting each other, is not negotiating. It is one person up, one person down. And that's the way to win in relationships. we already know that's a negative narrative for a young person to have. Now, if you've been in that kind of relationship or you've been exposed to it coming up, what can you do to change things? One of the things you can do is you can go through what I call a reparenting process, where you go find people who know how to do relationships well, who know how to communicate well, and you actually begin to watch them. Watch them do relationships. Watch how they respond. Watch how they listen, and begin to copy that. Also, be open to feedback that others may give you about how your behavior is or how you're relating to them. And you may need to get into therapy for this, so you're in a safe place to talk about it without feeling wounded. Because when you've been in this kind of relationship, you may not handle criticism well. You need to listen to that feedback and find ways to begin to redo those behaviors. We're not just trying to unlearn behaviors that are negative, we're also trying to learn new ones. Give yourself time, be patient with yourself. And also connect with very important people in your life and get close and begin to talk about things on a deeper level, which you're not able to do as a young person in a home where there's violence. When people are walking on eggshells and worrying about what's going to happen next and hoping that their parents get along and somebody doesn't hurt each other, they're not able to reflect and talk about inner issues. And one way to be able to cope and overcome some of these unhealthy behaviors and social relationships is by connecting with people on a deeper level. Being able to label your emotions, wondering, why am I mad? Why am I sad? All those things is helping you to build your social IQ, because when you better understand your emotional life, you're going to be able to understand the emotional life of others. And I'll leave a link as well as a video I did about emotions and power of understanding your emotions. But again, the sum total of this video is domestic violence affects a child's social development. The child is learning very negative behaviors from early on, and the child's relationships now in the future are more likely to be damaged. They're more likely to choose partners who are going to abuse them, overlook signs of danger, unsafe people, or stay in relationships that are not good for them, and have significant difficulty in asserting their own needs in a way that is positive. And they may have trouble also moving away from dangerous relationships. But the good news is, like I always say, there's a way out, there's treatment, there's help. And we need to go get it. Let me know if you like this video. Leave a message, leave a comment, subscribe, share with as many people as possible, and I will see you soon. Thank you. This is Dr. Roland.